Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Superman, issue number 5. This is a good book. I enjoyed this, but I do have a major complaint to do, a minor major complaint. Anyway, it's something that's just been persisting. Alright, so let's get into who made this book. We got the Unity Saga, this one's called, by Brian Michael Bendis doing the script and Ivan Reis doing the pencils. Unity Saga Part 5, sorry. Okay, there's a lot of people doing this. So on inks in different parts, there's Joe Prado and Auclair Albert. On letters, Josh Reed. Colors, Alex Sinclair. Cover, Rice, Pardo, and Sinclair. Adam Hughes does a variant cover. All right. So, and of course, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created Superman. So we get a whole bunch of stuff from the past, and they're having... I don't know. Excuse me, it's not even the past, it's the future. This is really weird. Superman and the Super Family, including Superwoman, it looks like, are there in front of the Zods and the Kandors. The Kandors are all there. It's like, whoa, what's going on? So you found Kandor? Cool. So they weren't destroyed? Cool. Anyway, I guess this is basically like, what's his name? Brian Michael Bendis' way of saying, whoa, you guys are pissed off that I destroyed Kandor. Calm down, peeps. It's not destroyed. They'll get it. It'll be fine. But anyway, this is basically Zod's vision of the future. He drinks a certain kind of spirits that gives him a vision of the future, right? A little bit of foresight. And, anyway, he takes this new seer ability, and he's like, okay, so I can actually unite the houses of Krypton, the surviving houses of Krypton, so we can move on and actually restore what we were in some way, shape, or form, in some minor way. And of course, he's still going to want to be in charge, but whatevs. So that's just a vision, though. And all of a sudden, his son comes up and is like, hey, the Earth is missing. He's like, uh-oh, I better figure out what's going on. So he flies over, and he comes face to face with Adam Strange. Adam Strange has suddenly lost his mind, and I get it. If you're out there for that long, plus he's not going to have access to the Zeta beam to bring him back home, because everything's just messed up. It's going to be really hard to do calculations as to where to go for the next Zeta beam if, you know, whatever. Anyway, so he's a little lost right now. We don't find anything else about the heroes except that the Earth was shrunk, but now it's back. And apparently now it's out of the Phantom Zone. Okay, very cool. The Atom still has the Phantom Zone projector, and Zod sees him and he's like, okay, that's the Phantom Zone projector. I want you to zap me with it right now. So he can go in and he can go after Zod, or excuse me, Zod can go after Zod. Zod can go after Rogal Zar directly. At full power, mind you. All right, Superman is having these problems right now because he's running out of his back stores of energy, and it barely shows. It seriously barely shows in here at all. But anyway, there's no sense of urgency, no real sense of urgency here. All that being what it is, Zod is at full power, and I imagine this is going to be a hell of a fight, a hellacious fight. There's a bunch of other things that happen in here also, which were kind of cool. I don't really want to get into those too many times. I will say that Superman being made more human, and I don't mean that in his physical aspect, but the more humanistic side of Superman that we really only see in certain writers. You know, you're not going to... Most writers are going to write Superman as just this tough guy who's beating up on the bad guys. He's this tough guy who's solving a mystery. He's a tough guy who's, you know, making a joke on Batman, whatever. Bendis is one of those really amazing writers who he can actually tell you a great story and give you some humanistic aspects to the elements of what he's writing. There's a couple scenes in here which remind you that Superman is human. His, you know, at least his upbringing is human. His, not reliance on Lois, but trying to remember, like, what would Lois do? You know what I'm saying? Interesting. He has a quick little image, a memory of his parents giving him a bit of advice. All of it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This is a really good comic book. There is one part of the comic book I don't like, though, and it's right here on the front. Yeah. Why give this away? I saw the cover of this comic book, and if you guys saw my This Week in Comics, I'm like, okay, I don't remember Zod actually in issue 4. I don't remember Zod joining up with Superman I don't remember there being any Zod, any mention, anything in that previous issue. There wasn't. I had to go back and I freaking I looked in my books. No, there was none. There was absolutely none. So this cover just gave it away. This is something that happened all throughout the book, and it would have been nice to see this. It would have been really nice to see this and have that anticipation of, ooh, 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 this is going to happen. Is this really going to happen? No way this is going to happen. This is awesome if this happens. They could have gone with pretty much anything on this cover. I guess you got to sell the book, but if that's the case, then you could have had an inkling in the previous issue. It's like the very last moment. I don't know if Brian Michael Bendis approved of this. I don't know if he has the right to approve of anything. I know they give him a lot of credit. I mean, for crying out loud, he gets double-page splash advertisements every week. You know, like, Bendis is here, Bendis is coming, Bendis is, you know, on the toilet, like everything. Bendis, Bendis, Bendis. Calm down, peeps, calm down. This week they seem to have calmed down. Hopefully it stays that way. I haven't read all my DC comics yet, but like, why just look, all jokes aside, why give this away on the front cover when we don't even see this in the comic book? This is in the next this should have been the only thing that needs to change on this. Right up top, you see that number 5? That needs to change to a number 6, and I should have saw this a month from now. Excuse me, 2 more weeks from now. This cover shouldn't have been on here, man. This cover shouldn't have been on here. I'm really tired of, and DC does it more than Marvel does. Marvel has their own problems with covers, specifically that most recent Guardians of the Galaxy, which, oh man, I just don't even want to get into that. Go look at my recent review for Guardians of the Galaxy last week. I think it was issue number 3 with Thor on the cover. Anyway, DC's constantly giving away what's going to happen inside the comic book by what's on the cover. I'm not a fan of that, guys. Man, like, why would you do that? Because now instead of me reading this comic book with great anticipation, like, oh, Zod. Oh man, I've been wondering what was going to happen with Zod. Turn the page. Keep on turning the page because you're looking, you read it, you got to read everything. It's like, oh man, oh, tell me he's going to go. Of course he's going to go to the negative, to the negative zone, to the Phantom Zone, right? Please let him go there. He's not going to go. Dude, oh my God, please let him go to the Phantom Zone. And all of a sudden at the very end, oh, you know, it's like, that's the feeling I want to get. And that's not what happened here. I saw that cover, and in my head, the only thing I'm thinking is, okay, when's he going to show up in the Phantom Zone? He's obviously going to the Phantom Zone. Duh, can we just get to the part? Are they going to wait? Are they going to make me wait until the end of the book to show me the Phantom Zone? Yep, they made me wait until the very last page to see him go to the Phantom Zone and phase off again. Now it wasn't anticipation. Now it was the expectation of the not personification, the whatever personification. It's not that grandiose. We know that this is something that's going to be realized, and the question is when. When is it going to be realized? When in this book? And of course, at the very end. But there was no expectation. We already knew what was coming to us. Damn it, DC. Congratulations. You sold one book as a guy who's working on his MBA right now, all right? Please, I'm sure you got some people there with you also, but please take some advice from people who actually know how to market. That is selling one book. You need to get people onto the series, onto the you need to sell the title, all right? You're trying to sell Bendis, not recognizing there's not enough people who actually appreciate who Bendis is, what Bendis is capable of doing. Please stop and reassess. DC Comics, this is real talk. I hope this gets to somebody. I genuinely do. Because, like, you got to put yourself in the shoes of the comic book reader. Maybe a test audience, all right? That cover, that should have been issue number 6 cover. That should not have been the issue number 5 cover. That was a huge mistake, in my opinion. You're taking away the suspense of reading a comic book. That's what reading a comic book is all about. It's about what's going to happen next, not, oh, Here's the cover. So when is that going to happen? You lost it. You lost any energy that I had going into this comic book, except to turn it into disappointment. Never should have happened. Huge mistake. They need to learn that lesson. DC needs to learn that lesson, because then what happens when they have a comic book cover that isn't so appealing? Suddenly the sales on that drop, as opposed to, no, dude, this series has been great so far. This series has been great so far. No, instead, oh, this cover isn't great. That's the conundrum you just put yourself in, DC. All right. Other than that, it seriously is a good comic book. God damn it, it would have been so much better, though, if I would have had expectation while reading this comic book. Some sense of wonderment. Lost. Missed opportunity. Professor Bell, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.